Every everybody has different words that offend them, different things that they hear that they get offended by. To me, the thing that offends me the most is every time that I hear the N-word. Not nigger, by the way. I mean the N-word. Literally, whenever a white lady on CNN with nice hair says the N-word, that's just white people getting away with saying nigger. That's all that is. They found a way to say nigger. N-word. It's bullshit, because when you say the N-word, you put the word nigger in the listener's head. That's what saying a word is. You say the N-word and I go, oh, she means nigger. You're making me say it in my head. Why don't you fucking say it instead and take responsibility for the shitty words you want to say?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Plus Rich Cotton. I'm still recovering from the storm and power outages, but I appreciate your patience while I work on getting the content back out like normal. Um, Thank you for coming. Now, what's been going on in the news right now is the beginnings of a summer of love. Antifa has been mobilized again. We have some racial stories going on in the news right now that are just uneasy. With the first one, if you haven't heard, I'm not going to talk about it too much. Maybe I'll do individual videos on them if you want to see it, but hopefully you know a little bit about it. But the first one is Carmelo Anthony, man on the left, young black man. I believe they're both 17 years old in high school. The white kid on the right, that is Austin Metcalf. They both run track, play sports for the school. Both don't have a criminal record, whatever the case is. Frisco, Texas, the young black man went to the other team's tent and sat underneath of it, was asked to leave, refused to leave, and for whatever reason he brought a knife to a extracurricular activity at school. I'm not sure why. Um, it could be premeditation. No one really knows why this happened, other than black kid goes somewhere he's not supposed to be. White kid asks him to leave. Black kid indignant says, "No, I won't leave. Make me." White kid goes to make him leave. Maybe makes contact with the witnesses. It's not really clear. The white kid either touches him, doesn't touch him, whatever it is. Black kid reaches into his bag and says, "Touch me again. Touch me and see what happens," or whatever the case is. The white kid goes to touch him to remove him from the place he's not supposed to be under their tent. Black kid stabs him in the heart and runs away, throws the knife, and then tries to claim self-defense. He has a Give Send Go account with over $500,000 raised. And that was the first part of contention with that, is him raising over $500,000 when the victim of the stabbing really hasn't. I think they only had like $150,000 and there's 200,000, whatever it is. Regardless, doesn't matter. Then another case pulled up. This all has to do with getting the money. Shiloh Hendricks is a white mother. She looks like she could be in her 20s or 30s. She had her son, that boy in the picture there, at a park, and according to her, I wasn't there. A little boy went into a bag, went into her personal belongings, took her son's drink, and ran away with it. She chased the little boy down, took her property back, and apparently, according to her and the witness, called the little boy the N-word. People are saying this is a 5-year-old. I don't believe it's a 5-year-old. I don't know any 5-year-olds that are as big as this, but we'll get to that in a second. Either way, a Somali immigrant or of some sort that's been charged with sexual assault on children was at the park, and he recorded her and dared her to say the word again on camera, and she did it and didn't give a shit about it, not even a little bit. And they, of course, doxed her. The black racist want her killed and murdered for saying the N-word on camera and to a little boy for stealing stuff. Whatever the case is, it's just bonkers, to be honest with you. She starts a GoFundMe on Give Send Go. She gets over 600,000, over 500,000, similar to the black kid that murdered a kid. And then, the comments are just horribly racist in the end. So there's a third one that pops up. A black kid killed by a cop appears to be justified for most people that are reasonable. The kid was in a stolen car with a stolen gun that he's not legally able to carry, even if it was his gun. Runs from the police, refuses commands, drops the gun on the ground in front of the cops. They yell gun. He picks the gun back up and continues running. And while the cop was running alongside him, looked to him. He had the gun in his hand while he was running. The cop shot and killed him from the side. The father of the son goes and watches the body cam footage of his son being murdered and then decides he's going to take revenge. But does he kill the cop? So he goes and runs over a cop. The media, the social media race grifters come out and say, yeah, eye for an eye, revenge. He killed the man, he killed his son. Then you find out it was just a random retired cop that was doing community service and was directing traffic for a graduation. Had nothing to do with the case. He wasn't there when his son was shot and killed by police. He's not the cop that shot and killed his son. Has nothing to do with it at all. And people were calling it eye for an eye and revenge. I don't think you know what revenge is. If you think that's revenge, it's just rage induced violence caused by you having the emotional maturity of a toddler. You saw something, said, oh, a white cop shot my son. I'll go kill any white cop. That'll make us even. What? Brings us to the Piers Morgan uncensored episode that was heavily censored because the black people on the panel wouldn't stop saying the N word, of course, but no one else is allowed to say it. You better not. So Myron Gaines, he's like a men's right activist, kind of podcaster kind of guy. Then another girl who was absolutely destroyed and canceled because she admitted to saying the N word on some sort of cooking show or something. I don't really care. In the end, this is the big controversy. Marc Lamont Hill was on the panel. Marc Lamont Hill is a horrific, great. He's a horrible racist grifter. I almost call him a grifter. What I almost call him, I don't know. I almost combine those two words together. Either way, this dude is a trash racist, just a race hustler, dude. He is so pathetic. I will give him credit. He does argue very well. He's very articulate. He's able to get his points across very well, clearly. He doesn't interrupt people quite so much unless he's interrupted. I don't mind the way he argues. It's not really a bad thing for him. He's a smart guy, but he's an absolute asshole idiot that won't stop being racist and only caring about race. He has an absolute meltdown because Piers Morgan dares the girl to say the N word on his show. And Marc Lamont Hill shakes uncontrollably and cries that he would be the victim if she just said the word out loud, not even directed at him. He would be the victim of hearing the word while he and Myron Gaines are openly saying the word on the panel. Dude, I just make it make sense. Let's check it out.
Here's the thing. White people have been under attack for years. It's been systematic racism. As much as black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on
hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you've just said.
So I don't know about you. I don't know what your opinion is on if somebody uses the N-word that's not black, obviously, in context as a reaction to someone's behavior. Is that person a horrific racist in everyday life and everything that they do? Do you consider that person racist, or do you want to hear the context of what happened and what went on with it? Me personally, words are words, and I'm always going to want to say what happened, what made that person respond that way. Do I think now, regardless whether this kid is 5 years old or not, look, most 5-year-olds are between 2.5 and 3.5 feet tall. This boy right here is not a 5-year-old. I'm sorry. They say he's an autistic 5-year-old. Autism is not a real thing to me. Autism is just the people that are truly autistic, the ones that that are really struggling. That I can accept. But a lot of autistic people are just assholes that are allowed to get away with whatever the hell they want, and their parents don't correct them, and they're just special, and they get to just be assholes. And it's just so I just don't accept it for the most part. The people on the low part of the autism spectrum, I don't accept that you have autism. I think you're just an asshole, little bratty, shitty, spoiled kid with a helicopter parent that enables that behavior and basically lets you be that way so they can pretend that they're taking care of a special needs child. It's this weird, like, it's a weird. Anyway, off topic. Look, I understand specifically black people and some white liberals, and that's why I'm bringing it up because it's Piers Morgan specifically. They pearl clutch at anyone using the N-word towards a black person or a person of color, whatever you want to say, regardless what the context is, regardless what that person did, if that person uses that slur against a person of color, that person is branded a racist no matter what the explanation is. There is no explanation that could ever explain it, and it's not justified in any way, shape, or form. Now, if a little kid took my stuff and ran away, do I think she's justified? Do I think she's justified in calling a little boy over that action? No, I don't. I don't think you should ever say that to a little kid. Obviously, I don't. Know what his sensitivities are or how he feels about it. It's just not good. Don't call anyone names. I understand she was frustrated and angry, and wasn't a good look. That's for sure. What she did, I don't know that she's racist. There's no way. You don't know her. You can't say she's definitely a racist because she did that. I just can't accept that. The same way black people say they're not racist, but they say cracker, they say peckerwood, they say all the things that they honky. They want to say everything they want to say, but then if you say, "Oh, you're racist," they're like, "We can't be racist because of mental gymnastics and bullshit that just came up in the last 7 years." It doesn't make any sense to me. I would always want to know the context of everything. There's nuance to everything. Chances are she probably is a racist. I don't know her. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm definitely not going to say she's a full-blown KKK member because she did this. It was a bad look. Definitely don't do that stuff. Now, if you told me that a 19-year-old gangbanging retard came up to her and pushed her child on the ground and stole her purse, and she yelled the N-word at that person while they ran away, I changed I changed my opinion a little bit. It's kind of like, oh well, okay. She, damn, that sucks for her, and it gets you stuck in a loop. It gets you stuck in a loop because I understand why she feels the way she feels and said the thing she says because she just wants to hurt that person, because in the moment she's hurt, and it's just not again bad emotional maturity. She exhibited bad emotional maturity. It's not on the same level as stabbing and killing someone over your maturity levels, but it's both people having a failure of emotional maturity the same way as the guy that ran over the random cop. The point I'm trying to make is, in his long roundabout way, is Piers Morgan said what she said has nothing to do with anything he's talking about. Yes, it does. She's talking about white unity and standing with that white woman to say we have black fatigue and we're sick of it. And she said a bad word. It wasn't good. But now that you've doxed her, nothing happened. She didn't say the word and got rewarded with $1 million. She said the word, and then black racist grifters went online, exposed her family, her job. She lost her job. She lost everything. They're not safe. They're calling for her head. They literally said, "Bring me her head and you'll get paid. If anyone kills her, you'll get paid." It's online everywhere for black racists to kill this woman because she said a no word. She needs to take care of her family. She has kids. I understand. I'm not going to donate to her. I don't think she deserves my money because of what happened, but I understand. I understand. The same way, if that black father went and killed the cop that specifically shot his son, I would say that was wrong. You shouldn't have did that. Go to jail forever. It's certainly not justified. You're an idiot monster, but I understand. I wouldn't be like, well, you know what an idiot. I understand it's emotional. It's rageful. He was full of rage and took it out, but he's a racist and just took it out on the first white cop he saw, which is just bonkers. And then you're standing behind it, making him a hero for yourself. It is weird. Black community, stop doing this. Stop propping up horrible people. I don't want to prop up Shiloh Hendricks. She might be a bad person. She did a bad thing. Whenever you do a bad thing, does it make you a bad person forever? That's kind of my point. If you do a bad thing, say a bad word, are you bad forever? Are you always a bad person? Or did you just have a bad moment? You make up your own mind. Obviously, you can kind of feel the way I feel about it. It's just because it's a two-way street. It goes both ways. Anyway, back to her. Piers is so mad about a white person saying the N-word that he wants to shut this woman down and destroy everything that she says because and I promise you, she's had this argument with Piers in her head a million times, and she's ready to be called a racist by their definition and accept it. Let's go.
This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the N-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. And so I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
Well, it is about her.
finally coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is. I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would.
I do quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist, are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah. Well, if you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you?
And here's where we start to have our split. You have Marc Lamont Hill and Myron Gaines, two people that could not be more opposed on the use of the N-word than what you're seeing by their facial expressions. This woman was prepared to admit and accept their definition of being a racist because she's going to admit to using the word and she knew that this would come up. Now, I leave it to you to tell me in the comments what you think. Is nothing more than an insult aimed at hurting someone's feelings. I think it matters more what the intention is inside the person's heart that's using a specific word, and the context and the reasons they're using it matters more than just saying the word itself. Just using the word itself, I mean, words exist, so they're used. Just using the word in itself does not mean you're a white supremacist and a neo-Nazi. Marc Lamont Hill is just a fucking retard, and that's just pretty simple. Now, I just have to say, how is a racial slur so different than other insults? If you see a fat person, and chances are they're going to be sensitive about being fat, and they do something to you that you don't like, cut you off in traffic, cuts in line, whatever it is, doesn't matter, and you want to hurt their feelings, and you call them fat, and it hurts their feelings. I don't understand how it's different than whenever someone's angry and the person's a person of color, so they think, oh, that word is going to make them mad. They just did something to me that I don't like. I'm going to say it to them to make them upset because I bet they're sensitive about it. Now, the power is with the person that is hearing the words. The person that's having a rageful toddler moment and saying words that they know they shouldn't say to hurt other people's feelings don't have the power. They're grasping for power. You hold the power to decide whether that word does anything to you or not, whether that word applies to you, and whether or not you want to give that person power over you. I don't allow people to have power over me. I try not as best I can. Whenever Black Lives Matter first came out, my children were younger. I taught my daughter, you see these people holding signs demanding that you tell them that they matter? Never get to be that point. Never do that. No one else can validate you. You validate yourself. You validate yourself every single day whenever you look in the mirror and say that you matter, you're someone special, and you matter to you. If you are looking for other people to validate you and tell you that you matter, you've lost the plot, you've lost yourself to them, and it's really just not a good look. So remember to validate yourself every day and not look for other people to validate you. You will have a very sad life if that's the case. So I'll bring you to Myron Gaines and Marc Lamont Hill, two people that one person hears the N-word, and even if it's not directed at them, simply hearing the words spoken by someone not of his race will cause him to go into a hyperventilating, shaking mess of a human being that is just going to win the Oppression Olympics for hearing the word not even spoken to him. Where Myron Gaines, you can probably call him the N-word with a hard R to his face, and he would laugh at you. Like all the black kids that I grew up with. I grew up with black men that were strong, man. You could say whatever you wanted around them, and they wouldn't. You're not talking about them. Why are they going to get upset? It's just the world has changed a little bit. The race grifters are wild. Let me let it continue so I don't waste too much of your time. But, this is going to get ugly. This is going to get crazy because there's a person on the panel that allows other people to have power over him, and he's not. And it's pretty strange.
Let me bring in Myron Gaines, because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and, wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No,
but
she admitted she's a racist.
Let me
I'm not
finish my
wagging a
point.
finger at anybody.
She
I don't need to
self-identified as a racist.
But
She said, "I
Myron,
am a
with
racist."
respect, Myron, I don't need to
Because-
wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm
everyone
not
isn't
wagging any
really-
finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even
Here's the
you
thing.
can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is, it depends on. A lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, "I'm not racist at all." We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation. But everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say. See, I think this Shiloh Hendrickson Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem, and that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized. And what I mean by this is, for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white people killing, white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality, or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word at black people with impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that?
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides my personal feelings. She has the right to say
That's
it.
fine.
And
You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution is the Constitution. That's what matters.
Oh, that's
And
fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their moral claims about the racist system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word, now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous. And it's as the only black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
Here's the thing. If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about.
So at the beginning, you heard the start of what she was saying to get cornered. She came into this a little bit backwards, wanting to just allow them to call her a racist and just accept it. I think she should have explained herself the way she will in a couple seconds here. The way she explains herself in a couple minutes here is much more reasonable, makes a lot more sense. But in the end, this is Myron saying the things out loud that Marc Lamont Hill doesn't like to hear. He doesn't want to hear about crime and black crime. He doesn't want to hear about black on black violence. He doesn't want to hear about how black people they just lie and pretend that they're afraid of police. Go and watch body cam footage on YouTube. Go watch a bunch of arrests of cops arresting and having interactions with just everyday black people, and you try to convince yourself that black people are afraid of police. They are not afraid of police, not even a little bit. They will challenge them. They'll verbally assault them nonstop during interactions with them. They're not afraid at all. They don't respect them. That's why they run away and don't comply with any of their orders. They don't see them as authority figures. They see them, because they're racist, they see them as just white people trying to oppress them and keep them down, which is a lie that's told to them from their parents if they're racist. It's just really a joke, and it's a system that needs to be rooted out. And the only way to do that is baptism by fire, and that fire is the truth. And Myron is just speaking the truth. And it's just Marc Lamont Hill doesn't want to accept anything. You see all of his head nods. Well, keep an eye on him. He shakes his head no at a lot of things that Myron says that are objectively true facts and reality. remember that Marc Lamont Hill said this is not about being sensitive. Okay, 2 more clips coming, and then we'll see about him not being sensitive, because this isn't about Marc Lamont Hill being sensitive. Okay, remember that Marc Lamont Hill will not accept Myron's basic declaration that everyone has a little bit of racism inside them, or preferences or biases inside their head. And he shakes his head no, while later on he will call Myron an Uncle Tom, which is a racial slur. He uses racial slurs during this interview while shaking his head no at the idea that everyone has a little bit of racial preference or bias inside them. And he says no. He also says that it's not the same thing. Whenever black people organize and say black power, that's totally fine. If white people do it, though, it's bad because white people do bad things. That's what he says.
Political correctness, liberalism, and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words could offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people, while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist as they want to be, as violent as they want to be, without any type of consequence. And if you call it out, you're labeled a racist. The reality is this. Black people don't want to live around black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of black people. I move to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe. Now, this is uncomfortable reality that no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. A majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before, systemic, organized. Earlier, we were talking about tribalism when you were mentioning Nick Fuentes' tweet. Here's the thing. Black people could be as tribal as they want to be. You have people like Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Umar Johnson running around about black power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately ostracized and labeled as supremacists, and they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting. And matter of fact, you went ahead and
the same thing.
No, actually, it is the same thing. Because here's the problem with black people.
No,
you
it's
guys
not.
Hold on, let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter, Black Power, but if white people get together and say white power and gather together, they're considered white supremacists and they get banned off every single platform. Why is that Jared Taylor and Nick Fuentes are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism, but black people are allowed to stand every single platform getting interviews on a Breakfast Club? Explain that to me. There's a two-tier situation here where black people are able to benefit off of being racist while whites are not. And what we're dealing with right now in America is literally a backlash to this black supremacy has been able to run around unchecked for a long time, and no one has the balls to call it out.
See, those were some brutal truths. I really don't have too much to add to it other than, you always see there's this little meme that always goes around. And it's a joke about the crime statistics. It's 13% of the magicians casting 60+% of the spells. They say 80%, but it's not 80%. But it's 13% of the population is the black population. Black men in particular. Let's say I'll be generous and say let's say men between the ages of 14 and 35 make up what? Probably somewhere around, we'll even go to 45. Make up somewhere around 6 to 8% of the population, and they commit more than 50% of all violent crime in America. Crime statistics are very, very bad whenever you look at it by race, especially race on race violent crime is very, very bad. There is no other race in this country that commits more crime than black people. There is no race in this country that commits more interracial crime against other races and has that little of interracial crime committed against them other than black people. They're the only group that commits interracial crime at clips that will make you gasp. But Marc Lamont Hill, he doesn't want to hear any of that. So it goes back to the woman. The last 2 clips I have for you, this woman, I need to give her a chance to explain herself, because the same way that I was saying, I care more about the intention and what someone's heart is other than just hearing a word spoken. It depends. Why was it said? Why was the word spoken? How was it spoken? Who was it spoken to? What happened? Why is this happening? I care. It's just nuance. I need to know everything to make a determination about someone. If you simply say, if you're not black, which is already strike one, because if you're black, you're allowed to say it. If you're not black and you say the N-word, does it make you a racist condemned at all times, or do you need to hear what they had to say? I'm always going to hear what if I heard a black person say cracker, call someone a honky, I would be like, well, what'd they do? Why they say that? For no reason? Why they're racist? Then that's stupid. That's stupid. But she's going to explain herself. I think it has more to do with the seeing someone as being inhuman, and I totally agree with her. I think racism is more about just thinking that another race other than your own is inferior to you and not human. That is racism to me. Not using words out of anger, not saying racial slurs, not calling a fat person fat because you know it's going to make them upset, because that's basically what this is. We're all big children whenever we get mad, and that's just basically what it boils down to. But let her explain herself. I mean, I think she made a much better explanation. I think she should have led with this, and this whole panel wouldn't have happened. But I'm glad she did it because we got content, boy.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black people. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N-word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
My fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. You know, we've never lynched you, we've never enslaved you, we've never done any of the deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people that white people have done to black people.
The eye roll from Myron was so strong it gave me a headache. Boy almost fell out the back of his chair. Marc Lamont Hill, for the 1 billionth time, you were never lynched. You were not a slave. That woman was not a slave owner. She did not lynch anyone. She's not done anything to you or black people at all. White people today walk on eggshells and really don't do very much to black people. I've already shown the statistics. Now, at the same time, you want to say, well, there's so many more white people in America. That's why black people hurt white people so much more than white people hurt black people. But we're not, you're the ones that are saying that you're so oppressed and in so much trouble with white people getting harassed and oppressed so bad. If Marc Lamont Hill was correct, and today black people are seriously oppressed by the white people that hate them so much and do so many bad things against them, you would think that white people would be hurting black people at disproportionate rates. But they don't. It's black people hurting white people at disproportionate rates. And you could say it's because there's so many white people in the country, but you would also have to acknowledge that there's so many white people in the country that would be available to attack black people. So don't you think there would be more or no? I don't know. But we've come to the part of the story where we get to see the fireworks. Piers Morgan is about to dare this girl to say the N-word on the show. Marc Lamont Hill does not take well. He went straight back to roots. He went straight back to just absolute, oh my God, I'm a victim. Don't let her say it. If I hear that word spoken, even though I just said it, I will be a victim. You will inflict racial harm against me if she says that word, not towards me or about me. If I hear her say the word, it's racial harm against me. Talk about a bitch. Talk about he just got done crying about being lynched by people he's never been lynched by, about people that have never lynched. That's where we're at.
What the fuck? care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, Black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say
free,
it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free
say
speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
hang on.
Invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, you and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's
Marc,
racist.
I hear you.
And I don't want to invite
Marc,
a racial harm to me.
I hear you.
If I'd raised you, I could have made you better. And not some weak, sniveling pussy starved for attention. But there's no fixing that now. Weak?
You honest to God can't make this stuff up. She just gets done saying Black people get away with whatever they want and have crazy privilege. Myron agrees and says Black people get away with saying racial slurs and whatever they want all the time, and there's no consequences. Nothing happens to them. They're not canceled. And then on TV, he calls Myron a racial slur. He calls him an Uncle Tom, dude. That's a racial slur. There's no getting around it. And then what they'll do is their privilege will make them say, well, that's not really even that bad. It's not a racial slur. It's just that's something. Excuses. It's excuses. It's a racial slur. He just said it, and guess what? No consequences. No canceling, no nothing. And he got away with it, and then even talked Piers down and made Piers not challenge her to say it because of the racial harm that will come against Marc Lamont Hill. The racial harm of just hearing her say it. Racial harm. Oppression Olympics while he's calling another Black person a racial slur. Unbelievable. Look, we're on a tour, right? I might have to do a tour of lack of self-awareness from the left right now. We know people on the left that have any self-awareness, or I don't even know what I want to say, man. That was absolutely glorious. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming in for story time, for the never-ending battle of the N-word. How does it make you feel inside? I truly don't care. I care about what's in your heart. I care about how you feel about other people as humans, and whether or not, just saying you don't want to live next to someone doesn't make them inhuman. Whatever she was saying that she has her preferences and her racial preferences based on behavior. It's kind of disingenuous to say that just flat out means that she's saying that Black people are not human. That's not what she's saying at all. It's kind of, I think she did this whole panel wrong. I think she felt defeated before it started because she knew how it was going to go, and I think she should have explained herself better. And she kind of looks stupid in this. I got to be honest. I didn't love it, but she is the queen of free speech. There's no getting around it, and that's what it is. But I don't know. Tell me what you think, man. Press buttons, hit things. This was glorious. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna do a tour of just lack of self-awareness from the left. This shit is crazy right now. I don't know. Trump's got a bunch of stuff going on. New deal with the UK, trade deal with the UK. All types of executive orders I got to cover, man. This storm and being sick for a month crushed me. So, man, I appreciate you guys listening. All right, Rich, I appreciate it. Last thing on the way out the door. I'm pretty sure that girl is just misunderstanding the situation. She says she has a preference that, she doesn't like to live around Black people. If she knew the truth and knew what really happened, whenever slavery ended and everything happened with segregation, what the white people did was they took all of the land that had magic dirt, and then they gave all the Black people, all the poor Black people, they were just unlucky, and they happened to get put in the spots that did not have magic dirt.
Who the hell are they? They've agreed to help us make our dream come true. And all they asked in return is a little plot of land they can call their own, the homestead. Now, what do you say?
All right, we'll give some land to the niggers and the chinks, but we don't want the Irish.
Everybody. No deal.
Oh, prairie shit. Everybody.
And if they had the correct dirt in the soil, then all their neighborhoods and communities will look just like the white neighborhoods. It'd be perfect. That's what I think. She's just confused. If she knew the truth, she would have a little bit of leniency for it, I think, for that behavior. I'm a show watcher. Support now. Juice.
All right, our last clip of Urban Decay. This girl is in a white neighborhood and she's mad that it's so nice.
I pulled over to eat some food before my class, and I just got upset because I pulled over into a white neighborhood. It's just so nice, and it just reminds me that everything is about racism. They have so much shade, so much parking. Like, it's the simple shit. I couldn't even just pull over really and enjoy my lunch because I was like, I haven't seen a person of color walk by me once. They're running around, and it's white people. Y'all got a really nice neighborhood. Of course y'all do.
Master got me working.
Anyway.
Yeah, and this is because white people live on the magic dirt that makes their lawns really nice and makes everyone pleasant to be around. And black people got unlucky when we were divvying up the land, and they have to live on the dumb ghetto dirt that does drive-by shootings and breaks all your windows.
Yeah, they have to live on the spray paint, broken glass, criminals loitering outside, prostitution on the corner dirt. And we got the ones where the 30-year-old trees grow in like 5 years. So
yeah, nothing to do with collective behavior. It's just mostly white supremacy, like she mentioned. And then we actually have a picture here of a neighborhood before and after. So here's an example of people taking care of their area, 2008 to 2013. That's 5 years.
Yep.
Went to shit. And then we have Detroit in the background, little montage. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's because they got the unlucky area where the house decays fast.
Yeah, the magic dirt kind of ran out of that key ingredient of magic, and then that's why they decayed. So they were good that it was the magic dirt in like the 1950s when Detroit was first coming up, and then it ran out of that key magic ingredient.
That maintained the properties. Yeah.
Really sad. She's right. It's just racism.
Yep. Well, don't get too down or too depressed.